Welcome back to Inherited Dawn, the One Piece podcast that breaks it down piece by piece.
Today, we're covering Chapter 78, Bell-mère.
And look, there's no way to sugarcoat this one. This chapter is a gut punch. It's about a mother, cornered and with no good options, who is forced to make a choice. And that choice, and the sound of the gunshot that follows, it changes everything for Nami.
It's the moment that forges her entire worldview, the moment the weight of the world lands on a child's shoulders. We've been building to this flashback, understanding that something terrible happened here, but knowing the destination doesn't lessen the impact of the journey. In fact, it might make it heavier.
Absolutely. If you've ever had a character's backstory just absolutely wreck you, you're in the right place. Maybe hit that follow button because we're all going to need some support to get through the rest of this arc together. This is one of those foundational chapters of One Piece that sticks with you forever.
Let's start at the beginning. But first, Oda's author comment for the week. He says, "Nosebleed foosh. Thank you very much for all the chocolates. They've got my brain power running at full speed."
Oda getting hyped on chocolate while delivering one of the most heartbreaking chapters in the series. The duality of that man is something else. It's like on one hand, he's this goofy artist loving fan mail, and on the other, he's a master emotional torturer. It's a super combination, I guess. All right, let's get into it. The Arlong pirates have landed.
The chapter opens with the declaration. Arlong lays down his law for Cocoyasi Village and every other town on the island. It's not a one-time pillage, it's a tax, and the way it's presented is chillingly corporate.
A subscription fee for breathing, 100,000 belly for every adult and 50,000 for every child. You pay it every month or you die. It's that simple. There's no negotiation, no appeal. It's cold, it's systematic, and it's terrifying. We've seen other pirates before this. Buggy was chaos, Don Krieg was military might, but this is different. This is organized crime on an entirely new level. It's colonization.
It's a precise and insidious form of control. A one-time raid allows for the possibility of rebuilding. A monthly tax set at an impossibly high rate for a rural community ensures perpetual servitude. They're not just stealing wealth, they're stealing the future. Any hope of saving, of building a better life, is extinguished from the very first sentence Arlong speaks. He's establishing a permanent system with himself at the top.
You can feel the air get sucked out of the village. These are just normal people, farmers, shopkeepers, and suddenly this crew of literal sea monsters shows up and redefines their reality. The fear is it's all over the page. You see people clutching their children, their faces just pale with shock.
And the villagers, they start paying. They're scared, but they're doing it. They're emptying their life savings just to see another sunrise. Oda shows us panels of people handing over bags of money, their hands trembling. It's the quiet desperation of it all, the acceptance of a nightmare because the alternative is immediate oblivion. But then one of the fishmen spots something.
Smoke from a chimney way out on a cliff, away from the main village. It's such a simple domestic image, a sign of life, of a home. And in this new world Arlong has created, a sign of life is a liability. And Genzo, our guy Genzo, his heart just sinks. He knows exactly whose house that is.
It's Bell-mère's, and he knows she doesn't have that kind of money. Not for 3 people, not even for 1. We know from the previous chapter she's been struggling, trying to make her tangerine farm profitable. The idea of her having 250,000 belly on hand is completely out of question.
The dread in that moment is so thick. The panel of Genzo's face, the sweat just pouring down. It's pure panic. He immediately tells Nami and Nojiko to run, to hide. He's trying to get them out of the equation, to make it so Bell-mère only has to account for herself. It's a desperate split-second calculation to try and save his friends.
He's thinking on his feet, trying to save his friend. He's trying to manipulate Arlong's own cold logic against him. If the girls don't exist in the fishman's perception, they don't have a price on their heads. It's a desperate gambit, a lie of omission, but it's too late. The fishmen are already on their way. The smoke has already been seen. The ledger is, in their minds, already open.
And when they get there, Bell-mère doesn't cower. She's got a rifle in each hand and she opens fire. A former Marine standing her ground on her own property. You see that training, that instinct just kick in. There are intruders threatening her home and her response is to fight. It's pure, unfiltered courage.
But it's futile. They're fishmen. We've been told they're 10 times stronger than an average human. Their bodies are tougher than steel. The bullets do nothing. They bounce off and they just laugh at her. The sound effect for the bullets hitting is a soft plink, emphasizing how useless it is. This moment is crucial for establishing the power differential. It's not a battle of wills. It's a battle of species. And on a physical level, she has no chance.
It's not about winning, though. It's about the fact that she fought. She didn't hesitate for a second to defend her home and her family. That's her defining characteristic right there. She is a protector, first and foremost. They disarm her, beat her down, and that's when Arlong steps into her house. It's a violation. This monster, this tyrant, just walks into her house like he owns it.
And he's immediately taking inventory. He's looking at her family history, the nautical charts spread across the table. He sees she was a Marine. He's not just a brute. He's assessing the situation. He recognizes the quality of the charts. This is the first seed planted for his eventual interest in Nami's skills. He sees a trace of talent in this house, even amidst the violence. And then Genzo arrives, trying to de-escalate, telling her to just play along.
You can feel Genzo's desperation. He's running in, trying to be the diplomat, trying to smooth things over. She's just a little rough around the edges, he's basically saying. He explains the deal. 100,000 to live. And for a second, you see a path out. Bell-mère gets up, goes to her room, and comes back with the money. Exactly 100,000 belly.
This is where Oda's mastery of tension is just on full display. The fishmen see the money and assume it's for her, one adult. It seems like Genzo's plan worked. The girls are hidden, she can pay for herself, and they'll leave. The panels slow down. There's a shot of the money on the table. A shot of the fishmen looking at it. A shot of Arlong's crew member saying, "All right, one adult, we're leaving."
Oda gives you that little sliver of hope. You're holding your breath. You can feel Genzo's desperation. He's running in, trying to be the diplomat, trying to smooth things over. She's just a little rough around the edges, he's basically saying. He explains the deal. 100,000 to live. And for a second, you see a path out. Bell-mère gets up, goes to her room, and comes back with the money. Exactly 100,000 belly.
This is where Oda's mastery of tension is just on full display. The fishmen see the money and assume it's for her, one adult. It seems like Genzo's plan worked. The girls are hidden, she can pay for herself, and they'll leave. The panels slow down. There's a shot of the money on the table. A shot of the fishmen looking at it. A shot of Arlong's crew member saying, "All right, one adult, we're leaving."
Oda gives you that little sliver of hope. You're holding your breath as a reader. You think, okay, this is the tragic but survivable outcome. She'll live, she'll have to sell the farm, they'll be destitute, but they'll be alive. She'll hug her daughters, they'll cry, and they'll figure out the rest later. You are actively rooting for the lie. You want her to deceive them. Arlong's crew turns to leave. The crisis seems to be averted.
But Bell-mère stops them. A single speech bubble. Wait. It hangs in the air. Genzo's face is one of pure horror. He knows what's coming. He knows her too well.
And this is it. This is the moment. She can't do it. She can't lie. She can't pretend she isn't a mother. Her entire identity is wrapped up in that role. To deny it, even to save her own life, is a betrayal of who she is. It's a line she cannot cross.
She tells them, that 100,000, that's for my 2 daughters. The panel focuses on her face, and she's not scared. There's a resolve there, a clarity. In that moment, she has weighed her life against her identity as a mother, and the choice is simple for her. It's devastating for us, but for her, it's the only path.
The sacrifice is immediate and total. She looks at Arlong, this monster, and essentially says, I can't afford to live, but I can afford for them to live. The strength that takes to look at your own life and say, no, theirs is worth more. It's not a choice made out of fear, but out of an overwhelming, all-consuming love. She's doing the family budget one last time, and her own life is the expense she has to cut.
And she follows it up by saying she can't bring herself to say she doesn't have a family. Sorry, I just can't deny my own family, even if it's a lie. This is the philosophical heart of the chapter. What is a lie? Is it a lie to say you have no children when they're hiding just out of sight? Or is the real lie pretending to be someone you're not for the sake of survival? For Bell-mère, her family bond is more real to her than her own survival. It's the ultimate truth of her existence.
And while this is happening, you see Nami and Nojiko listening, horrified. They heard the whole thing. They heard their mother offer up the money. They felt that moment of relief. And now they hear her sacrifice herself for them. They try to run to her, to stop her, but the villagers hold them back. They know what's coming. It's this horrible communal powerlessness. Everyone knows what's about to happen, and no one can stop it.
Bell-mère looks at them one last time, past Arlong, past the gun, and her eyes find her daughters. And she says those words, Nami, Nojiko, I love you. And that's all she needs to say. She smiles, a real, genuine smile, because in that final moment, she was exactly who she wanted to be, their mother. She reaffirmed her love, she secured their future with the last of her money, and she died on her own terms. True to herself. That's a super mom right there. No regrets on her face. Just love.
Arlong, on the other hand, just smirks. He's completely unmoved. To him, this isn't a tragedy, it's a business transaction and an object lesson. He tells the villagers that this is what happens when you defy him or when you can't pay. It's not just an execution, it's a message. He's turning a profound act of love into a crass example of his economic policy.
He raises his gun to her head. Oda draws it out. A panel of Arlong's face, a panel of Bell-mère smiling, a panel of the gun, a panel on Nami and Nojiko's terrified eyes.
And there's a loud bang, a full-page spread, dominated by the sound effect. We don't see the impact. We don't need to. The sound is enough. The finality of it is absolute.
And Nami and Nojiko just collapse, screaming. They just watch their whole world get executed right in front of them, on their own doorstep, because their mom loved them too much to lie. The chapter ends right there, in that moment of absolute devastation. Just pure grief.
Okay, but let's sit with the implications of that for a second. Think about what this does to Nami specifically.
This single event is the key to her entire personality.
It breaks her completely, but it also builds her into who she is when we meet her. It's like her psyche was shattered and then she rebuilt it with whatever parts she could find, and the only material available was money and betrayal.
Exactly. Her mother was killed for 100,000 belly. It connects love, family, and death directly to a lack of money. The most precious thing in her world was destroyed because they couldn't afford to protect it. So what does she do? She dedicates her entire existence to acquiring money. She internalizes Arlong's lesson, but twists it. He says money is power, so she says, okay, then I will get enough money to buy back the power you took from me.
She thinks if she can just get enough of it, 100 million belly, she can buy back her freedom, her village, and maybe in some deep psychological way, undo that moment. It's an impossible goal, but it's the only thing that keeps her going. Money becomes her armor and her weapon. It explains why she's so obsessed with it when we meet her, why she's willing to betray people for it. It's not greed, it's desperation, it's a trauma response.
It also explains her initial distrust of people, especially pirates. She loved her mother, and her mother's love for her is what got her killed. It was an act of love, saying, I have a family, that pulled the trigger. So her defense mechanism becomes, don't get close to anyone. If you don't have bonds, you can't lose them. If you don't love anyone, love can be used to destroy you. Her entire I work alone attitude is a shield built from the wreckage of this day.
And you see Arlong's specific brand of evil here. This isn't just chaotic piracy like we saw with Buggy or Krieg. This is organized terror. He's not just a pirate king. He's a tyrant. He's colonizing his own sea. He has a philosophy, a worldview. He is actively imposing on others. He's not just breaking rules. He's making new, crueler ones.
He's creating a system. The strong rule the weak, and worth is measured in cash. It's a philosophy rooted in his own history of oppression by humans, which we learn about later. He's taking the pain and prejudice he experienced and is now inflicting a twisted version of it onto others. He uses Bell-mère's death as the ultimate proof of his thesis. See, your love, your bonds, they get you killed. My power, my money, that's what's real.
That's what makes Luffy punching him into the ground later so cathartic. It's not just a fight, it's a complete rejection of that entire worldview. Luffy's strength comes from his bonds, from his desire to protect his friends, the very thing Arlong dismisses as a weakness. Luffy's final punch isn't just for Nami, it's for Bell-mère. It's a loud, destructive no to Arlong's entire way of life.
It also recontextualizes Genzo. We saw him as the overprotective town sheriff with the pinwheel on his hat. He seemed almost like a gag character at first. Now we know why he's like that. That pinwheel isn't just a toy. It's a tool he used to make a crying baby Nami smile.
Bro, he watched his friend get murdered. He was the one who came up with the lie that could have saved her. He probably spent every day for 8 years since then feeling like he failed her. That pinwheel isn't just a quirky character design. It's a promise, a way to make Nami smile when nothing else could. He carries that burden with him every single day. He has to watch Nami work for the man who killed her mother, and he has to live with that.
He stepped into that father figure role because the position was violently vacated. Every interaction we've seen with him is now shaded by this tragedy. He's not just protecting a citizen, he's protecting Bell-mère's legacy. He's protecting the last pieces of his friend that still exist in the world.
And think about Nojiko. She's right there too. She experiences the exact same trauma. But she has to live with this, and she processes it differently. She stays, she endures, she gets tattoos to remind herself of what happened and to show solidarity with Nami. She becomes the emotional bedrock for the village while Nami goes out into the world to fight.
One sister fights from the inside, by staying and maintaining the heart of the community, by being the keeper of the memory. The other fights from the outside, by joining the enemy and trying to dismantle them with their own tools. Both shaped by the exact same moment. The precision in Oda's character writing is just chilling sometimes. He doesn't give you one reaction to trauma, he gives you a spectrum.
Absolutely. It all comes back to this. Every lie Nami tells, every treasure map she draws for Arlong, every time she pushes the Straw Hats away, it all starts with the sound of that one gunshot. That one gunshot created the cat burglar Nami we know.
The chapter ends there, with that sound echoing, leaving Nami and Nojiko orphans for a second time, first by war and now by tyranny. The first time, they were found by a loving marine. This time, they were found by a monster.
Man, this one was heavy. Let us know in the comments what you think about Bell-mère's choice. Could she have lied? Should she have? There's no wrong answer, just a lot of heartbreak. Now, predictions for Chapter 79.
I'll go first. I think the flashback isn't over. We're going to see the immediate aftermath. Specifically, I predict we will see the moment Nami joins the Arlong pirates. Arlong has already seen the nautical charts in the house. He's a pirate who needs to navigate the seas. He's pragmatic.
Oh, that's a good one. He sees a resource. Nami, a little girl, sees her home subjugated and her mother murdered. She's seen that defiance gets you killed. So what's the opposite? Submission? No, infiltration.
Exactly. She'll see her skill with maps as the only valuable thing she has, the only card she has to play in this horrific new game. She'll make a deal with Arlong, her talent in exchange for the eventual freedom of her village for 100 million belly. She decides to play his game from the inside, using the very logic, money equals worth, that he established.
I'll build on that. My first prediction is we see the origin of the Arlong Park tattoo. She's going to have to physically mark herself as one of them. It's not just a tattoo, it's a brand. It's a symbol of her servitude, a constant painful reminder of the deal she made and the mother she lost. It's a way of putting on a mask that she can't take off.
A way to erase Bell-mare's daughter and become Arlong's cartographer. That's dark. My second prediction is we will see Genzo confront Nami about her decision to join them. He won't understand it. He just saw Bell-mère die for defying Arlong, and now he'll see Nami seemingly surrender to him. It will be the source of the tension between them we saw when we first arrived at the village. He'll see it as a betrayal of her mother's memory.
That makes so much sense. He thinks she's given up, but she's actually fighting in the only way she knows. It's a silent, lonely war.
My second prediction is we're going to see the very first time Nami steals something significant. Not just for survival, but part of the plan. It'll be calculated, clever, and it'll be the birth of the cat burglar Nami. She'll realize that to beat a man who worships money, she has to become a master of it herself. It won't be about greed. It'll be about gathering ammunition for her 8-year-long war.
Turning his own weapon against him. It's a perfect encapsulation of her character. She takes the thing that destroyed her life and learns to wield it better than anyone.
This backstory just keeps hitting harder. All right, that's it for this episode of Inherited Dawn. This one was a tough one, but an essential one. Join our Discord to talk about it with the rest of the crew. We could probably all use a group hug after this.
Thank you for listening. We'll see you next time as we continue our journey through the Arlong Park arc. Stay safe.